We're probably going into a depression. We're not going to get out of this.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And so the thing is this good for you or bad for you? I'm looking forward to it. The last crash was 2008, and I made more money in 2008 than in my whole life.
Welcome, everyone, to the School of Greatness podcast. We've got the legend, Robert Kiyosaki, in the house. Thank you so much for being here. Super excited about this.
Well, thank you. People say I'm a legend in my own mind, and my reply is, you may as well be a legend in your own mind because you're not a legend in anybody else's mind.
Hey, you got to believe in yourself if you want to create great things in the world. At least you've got to believe. It's almost 25 years now, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right? Are you sick and tired of talking about Rich Dad, Poor Dad, or is it still something you enjoy talking about?
No, it's kind of what we were talking about. This is what I'm supposed to have done anyway. I mean, it was, so I got on my path.
Yes.
And what I was saying, what you and I were talking about before we started is I meet a lot of guys who something tragic happens in their life, but it was the best thing that ever happened to them. Like I had a friend who was a Olympic snowboarder, and he did one of those goofy things those guys do, and he shattered his body.
Oh.
And nobody could heal him. So he became an acupuncturist. And the guy is the greatest. He found his real gift. It's not snowboarding or whatever he was doing. He's a healer. Mm-hmm. And he uses acupuncture, and he heals people. He's unbelievably good. But if he hadn't crashed, he wouldn't be where he is today.
Yeah. What was the big tragedy in your life?
Oh, there's every other day. There's every other day.
What was the big tragedies? What was like the big aha moments where something bad had to happen for you to say, oh, let me wake up and take down this path?
Oh, there's a lot of them. I mean, I really was, as an entrepreneur, my biggest failure was that I was successful in my first venture. I was about 25 years old, and I started a nylon and Velcro surfer wallet business. And everybody said, "Well, why are you doing that?" I said, "Well, I don't know what else to do,
Right.
And I used to make nylon wallet. I went to school in New York at a military school and a sailing school. So I used to sew these nylon wallets out of sails. So when we're looking for an idea for a product, the product sucks. The product doesn't really count. I just needed to start a business. So I was working at Xerox at the time in Honolulu, and I showed this little wallet to my two partners, two criminals. But anyway, so we came out with these nylon wallets. We had them manufactured in Korea, and nobody would buy them. So I have 100,000 wallets in a warehouse in New York. I'm in Hawaii, and my friend and I are going door to door trying to sell these stupid.
No way.
And everybody kept saying, "Are you shitting me? What are you guys doing?" And what happened was, because we failed at the wallet business, I was sitting in our offices in Honolulu, and then somebody says, "Hey, jogging had just started. Baby boomers are first getting into health." And they started jogging. They had the Nike Waffle and all these other good shoes.
Yeah.
And so this guy in Golden Gate Park goes for a jog, and he didn't know what to do with his key, so he put his key on top of his car tire. And he went for a run, and guess what? He came back, and his car was gone.
Wow.
And so the headline says, San Francisco Times says, "What does a jogger do with their key?" And I went, oh my God. So since I have kind of a quasi-engineering background, I designed with a hook and tear method and built the shoe pocket that went on a runner's shoe. So I had this nylon wallet, now I had a runner's shoe. A shoe pocket. So I go around the world again. So we're going broke so fast. We had no money. We just kept borrowing money, raising capital. But it was all good because I was learning how to raise capital.
Yeah.
So finally, we're desperate. We buy a full, those days, it took 4 months for an ad to come out. So we had to shoot this stupid shoe pocket on a New Balance 320 shoe. And we get it into Runner's World magazine. I think it cost me $16,000.
Oh my gosh. That's a lot of money.
And then we waited for the phone to ring. So we had to wait till like January, February, March. The phone didn't ring. So we want to quit. We're out of money, can't pay the rent, the repoed my Harley, and it was getting so bad. So let's give one more shot, just one more shot. So we go to New York City at the sporting goods show at the Coliseum. And I'm setting up my booth in the basement because that's all I could afford. And this guy goes walking past and he goes, my company must be called Rippers. So I'm putting my big sign up, Rippers, and he goes, Rippers, where have you been? And I turn around and said, I'm here. No. He says, where have you been? I'm like, what do you mean? He says, I saw your ad. I said, good. My store is filled with people coming in looking for the shoe pocket.
Wow.
I said,
call me.
That's what I said. So I asked him, why didn't you call me? He says, you idiot. You don't have your address or phone number on the ad.
Oh, my goodness. Wow.
And then what happened is Playboy put a pic, they featured this young thing with nothing on but a shoe bucket. And our sales went to the run. I looked like a genius, but
wow.
This is where we went broke. We couldn't keep up with demand. Wallets took off. Shoe pockets took off. We were borrowing just to finance inventory. We were shipping all over the world. And we went broke because I kept raising money. And one day, but we were already like $850,000 in debt, which is a lot of money back then.
Wow. It's a lot of money right now.
Yeah, well, it's relative. Anyway, so I go back to my partner, Stanley, the accountant, the CPA, the CFO. And I said, how much more do I have to raise? He says, I think 100,000 will do. I said, good. So I go raise another 100,000, right? So I hand the check to Stanley because he couldn't, accountants can't sell. Anyway, so I give him the $100,000. Says, will this take care of the problem? And Stanley said, yes. It took care of his problem. He paid off his investors.
Oh.
So we're still broke. We had no money. Stanley hits the road. And that's how it went down. Stealing
Stanley.
I love that guy. He did me the biggest favor of all. You know what I mean? I learned so much, man.
What was the greatest lesson you learned from that big success/failure?
Well, just because they're smart doesn't mean they're not dishonest or crook. And I've run into more crooks. I think I hire them on intention.
Until you learn your lesson, right?
No. Every entrepreneur I've talked to have had somebody steal from.
Mm-hmm.
I go to my doctor, and this little cutie working for him, this beautiful young woman, as sweet as everybody loved her. Da 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 da. And then, so one day I went and said, well, where is she? And he goes, where is she? Well, what she did, because she's tech savvy, she rigged the invoicing on their computer. So, 20%, like 90% went to the doctor and 10% went to her.
Wow.
And so she heisted. I said, that little sweetheart? He goes,
smart.
Yeah. And then so he called the police. And this was the interesting part. Her father was already a rich guy. Mm. And he comes in and says, I'll pay you anything, just don't send her to jail.
Wow.
So then that was the next thing you learn. Is it better to send her to jail or take the money?
Wow.
So she's in jail. No, just not. But what I'm saying is you can't teach that stuff.
Yeah, you got to experience it. You got to go through it.
It's right in front of you all the time.
Man, what's the lesson you've learned in the last 2 to 3 years that you thought you'd already learned that you keep learning that comes the hard way? Is there anything that you still learn, or have you seen it all?
No, it's that as you know, Rich Dad Poor Dad is a story of my rich dad who had no education, but he grew up in business for real. He took over the family business at 13, so he kind of grew up in the real world of money. Where my rich dad was a PhD, poor, helpless, and desperate. Went to Stanford, University in Northwestern. Very smart guy, good guy, and all this. But as you know, teachers don't know shit.
Yeah.
They teach stuff They teach stuff they don't know nothing about.
Right. Well, some of them are forced. I mean, they're forced to teach that, right? Some of them try to educate in other ways and inspire.
Don't defend them. Don't defend them. I don't like them. Anyway, you know what happens? When do I get in the most trouble? Is when I criticize going to school. Because to many people, it's their only hope and salvation.
Yeah.
So if I say, well, I don't think school teaches you much, I may as well piss on the Pope. You know, they said,
I know.
Religion. If you don't go to school, and then I tell them, well, you know, Steve Jobs dropped out. He did pretty good.
Yep.
Gates dropped out. Dell dropped out.
Zuckerberg
dropped out. Henry Ford, Walt Disney. They didn't hurt. No. So anyway, education is religion to most people.
Yeah.
So that's why I step on toes and I get dumped.
Well, what did Mark Twain's quotes say? Like, don't let schooling get in the way of your education or something like that. And one of the reasons why I started the School of Greatness, I was telling you before we started recording, is that I was in the special needs classes literally every day for as long as I can remember. Since kindergarten until 7th year in college, I had a tutor. I was in the special needs classes with a few kids who had learning disabilities. And it was the most challenging thing for me because I wish they would have taught me things that I'm learning now. And the reason I created the School of Greatness, because I was like, what are the things I wish they would have taught me in school to help me get ahead in my finances, to help me get ahead in my health, my mindset, how to deal with a breakup in a relationship, a tragic time, like the emotional side of things, the education that I wish they would have taught us. I was like, I'm going to go create it. I'm going to find people like Robert and teach us the ways. So, you're doing that through your work, and I'm trying to do that. But I think there's people trying to do good by educating outside of the traditional school system where I think they're more limited.
Correct. And that's why I created the cash flow board game, is because I learned about money playing. I learned about money playing Monopoly.
Yeah.
I learned more about life playing Monopoly than I did in 4 years of college.
Yeah.
I went to a really good school, the best schools in the world, U.S. Merchant Marine Academy. I came out a rich man, but it didn't teach me much about money. I was only a high-paid employee.
Yeah.
So then I joined the Marine Corps. Then I have two professions. I can fly for United Airlines, or I could sail for Standard Oil. I didn't want to do either because it wasn't challenging anymore. I think if there's a lesson is that I'm looking for the challenge, and some people are looking for security. They're two different people. They're very, very. They're extremely different people.
Yeah, and you talk about rich favors the bold, those that are willing to take risks and willing to put themselves out there. Do you think you can get rich without taking risks and being bold and taking, these big chances? Or can you keep this security mindset and really gain true wealth?
Well, many people have. You look at Cuomo and all those guys, they were born rich kids from their father.
Right.
Trump could have taken that path too. He was born a rich kid. So it's not, I think you're either an entrepreneur or you're not.
Right.
I think that's the difference.
It's interesting. I never thought I was an entrepreneur until I had a big wake-up call, a tragic experience. And it was kind of like a perfect storm. I didn't know how to make $1. I was not like selling baseball cards. I didn't do the lemonade stand. I didn't try to hustle all this stuff as a kid. I literally maybe made a little bit of money in the summers just because my dad put me to work. And I had this dream of playing professional football. And then I made $250 a week. My dad got in a tragic car accident. He was in a coma for 3 months. I didn't have a college degree. It was 2008. The economy went down. I was living on my sister's couch. She was feeding me. I was making no money. I was living off 3 credit cards with student loans. And I didn't have my dad as that kind of financial safety net anymore because he wasn't able to help me and bail me out. So it was more like, what do I do? No one was hiring people with degrees at that time, even master's degrees. I didn't even get a bachelor's degree yet. And I was just like, how do I survive? So I don't think if the worst thing in my life would have happened, I wouldn't be here learning how to be hungry, how to say, I need to go survive right now and take chances.
Good for you.
I think that perfect storm mentality made me into this survivor creative mindset, willing to risk it all. Whereas if I had my father to kind of protect me financially or say, because he was like, you're going to take over the business, you're going to come work for me. And that was my mindset. when he kind of left emotionally and mentally, he's still alive today, but not the same from the brain trauma. It made me step up as a human being, as a 24-year-old, and say, I got to learn some stuff.
And that's what I say to young people today. Look at this pandemic, this coronavirus pandemic, it's really tragic because it attacks the old guys.
Mm-hmm.
But even worse is the baby boomers had it the easiest of all generations. But now their pensions are gone, their 401ks are gone.
Yep.
Social Security is broke, Medicare is broke. So I say to younger people, this pandemic, this crisis is the best thing that ever happened to you. You think about that iPhone. You have more power in that iPhone than I had with my Spirit Univac mainframe computer. And then so when I meet people who say, oh, the economy is bad, I said, the only economy is between this ear and that ear. There's an economy out here. But this is the best time for your generation because you're tech savvy. I'm not tech savvy. Mm-hmm. This was made for you guys. The old guys like me are being cleaned out by the pandemic.
Unless you have a lot of assets that are bringing you in cash.
The way is clear for you. Now, the old guys are gone. They're dead.
Right.
What are you going to do about it? So it's really a great time. But exactly as you're talking about, the bad times are leading to the best times.
That's it. Yeah.
If you can see it. But unfortunately, as you know, there's a lot of your generation and younger, they'll never recover.
Yeah.
They're going to see this as the worst of times.
I know. And they're going to reflect back to this in 5 years and 10 years and say, that's the thing that screwed me up or hurt me and be a victim to it, as opposed to saying, okay, this is happening and how can I make the most of it? And what's it going to take for me to learn a new skill or get more creative or be hungrier in this time?
Or more important, who's your teachers?
Who are you listening to?
Well, that's why I keep saying to the millennials, they're a pack of wimps. I meet millennials who are just horrifyingly weak. Snowflakes, I call them.
Yeah.
They go to college and
doormats.
They're taught trigger events or whatever. I don't know what they say today, but they've got to have special rooms where there's no whatever. I'm going, holy mackerel. Welcome to the real world, And there's other millennials who are as tough as nails. I mean, this is the biggest opportunity they've ever had.
Huge.
So it just depends upon what's between this year and this year, what's in your heart. That's it.
Yeah. For the what do you think is the next step, the first step or the number one step for the average person with, the kind of the normal job that they might be losing, if they have some debt, they got some credit card. What's the next step for them to not only survive but thrive in this market, in this time?
Well, I always say quit your job. But that's not, I don't have a job. I've only had one job. And I never wanted a job after that because I had to be hungry. I'm not going to say, but we're all different. We're humans, we're different beings. If I show you this diagram here, it's why I created my cash flow board game. Mm-hmm. Because we have 4 different intelligences. We have mental intelligence. We have, I don't know what that one is, physical intelligence. You probably have very good physical to make, football and all that.
Yeah.
Emotional intelligence, but spiritual intelligence. So I went to military school in New York. The first thing is spiritual. I become a Marine. It's spiritual.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you're putting your life on the frickin' line.
Yeah.
So Nassim Taleb, wrote the book, The Black Swan. He also wrote Anti-Fragile. He says there's 3 kinds of people in the world. There's fragile, and that's what our school systems are putting out. Fragile, wimpy, snowflakes. And that's your choice. You want to be that way? Have a good life. Mm-hmm. The second type is that, so a fragile is like a champagne flute.
Yep.
You hit it, it shatters. Then the second one is called robust. And a robust person is like the rock. You can pound on them, dump on them.
Yeah.
They take it. But that's all they do. They take it. And then anti-fragile is somebody like you, where they pound the crap out of you, and you get smarter and better because of it. Mm-hmm. So I love Nassim Taleb. A lot of people call him Dr. Doom. But the way I look at this whole thing, this economy is, we're probably going into a depression. We're not going to get out of this one.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And so the thing is this good for you or bad for you? I'm looking forward to it. The last crash was 2008, and I made more money in 2008 than in my whole life. So this one here, 2000, what is it, 2020? I'm going to get even richer. But other people are going to get poor. And if they're baby boomers, they're going to blame it on this coronavirus. Oh, my health, hey, hit the road, put on some running shoes, change your diet, get some sunlight, get healthy. Don't be a wimp. But, oh, no, I'm so afraid of dying. I'm going, you're already dead. You don't even know it yet. In the Marine Corps, we used to call them corpse people.
Right. Corpse, not core. Yeah.
A corpseman. No, a corpseman. A corpseman is a person who's dead but doesn't know it.
Wow.
They're so afraid of dying. They're already dead.
Yeah. It's about taking action, taking control of your life, taking control of your health, your finances, everything.
This is the best time to be alive right now.
I did an interview with Dave Ramsey last week, and he said, the last 3 or 4 recessions or down economies, whatever you want to call it, crashes, he said, I made more money during those times than I do in good times. Yeah. So I'm hearing him say that. I'm hearing you say that. How did you make more money then? And how are you planning to turn this into an opportunity to make more money now for you? What are the things, the actual action steps? Is it investing more in the stock market? Is it real estate? Is it buying other assets? What does that look like for you?
Well, no, the lesson is you got to choose your teachers wisely. When the market crashed in 2008, guess how much money I borrowed?
A lot.
300 million.
No way. From private investors, the bank, or how does that work?
Because interest rates were dropping and real estate prices were going to the toilet. And when I walk into my banker, this is what Rich Dad Poor Dad about. Rich Dad Poor Dad is about a financial statement. Income statement, balance sheet, statement of cash flow. It's a book on accounting. People don't even know it's a book on accounting. So I walked into my bank with my partner and had all this property that was floating to the surface. And I say, I'll take them off your hands. I just give me the money to buy the property.
Wow.
That's cojones.
300 million.
Give me the money and I'll buy your properties for you.
That's crazy.
So it depends. And this is my whole thing. I'm now 700 million, almost $1 billion in debt.
Really?
You know why? Because I don't pay any taxes. The more debt I have, the less tax I pay. And the average guy goes, how do you do that? Because you have bad teachers. And so it's this whole thing that you got to choose your teachers wisely. That's why I wrote the book, Fake money, fake teachers, fake assets. I don't touch that garbage that Wall Street puts out. I don't have a 401k. I don't have stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs. Doesn't mean you shouldn't, but I don't need them. Okay?
Right.
And the other part is, look, for you young guys, the best teachers are not in colleges. The best teachers are on YouTube. The best teachers are on YouTube. Wake up. This guy, George Gammon, he's fantastic. Patrick Bet-David, fantastic.
He's great.
Jim Rickards. The fake teachers are in colleges. They're telling you to get a job.
Right.
The corporate ladder. Patrick Bet-David said it the best, and I love that guy. He says there's 2 kinds of leaders, wartime and peacetime. And a peacetime leader is a guy like my poor dad. He goes through all the right schools. He has all the pedigrees, the credentials. He does all the right things. He climbs the corporate or the government ladder and all that. Or a wartime leader goes to war. So Steve Jobs is a wartime leader. I'm a wartime leader. Difference is I went to war. I went to war twice on the front lines.
Yeah.
And I changed. What happened? So I joined the Marine Corps. I go to flight school in Pensacola. I learned to fly. I go to Camp Pendleton. I strap on my weapons. I go to advanced weapons in Camp Pendleton. I go to Okinawa, and then they send me into Vietnam. And I came out of Vietnam about 4 months later, back to restage in Okinawa. And I thought everybody had changed. I looked at the fellow Marines and I thought they were, and it wasn't that they were, I had been to war.
You got tougher. You got stronger.
It's different. When somebody's trying to kill you, every single mission, I went down 3 times.
No way.
Yeah. And I came back stronger and tougher. So I come back to Okinawa. I got like a week off. And they're going to ship me back into Vietnam again. I said, what happened to these guys? And it wasn't that they changed, I changed. So what happens to entrepreneurs who go out and they get their ass handed to them and they survive, if you survive, you see the world differently. And so that's what happened to you when you get injured and all this.
Yeah.
You see a different world. Whereas some peacetime who's climbing the corporate ladder right now, they just lost their job. They're sucking their thumb. This is the worst time for them. Yet for a wartime leader,
they're excited. They're excited about it. Yeah.
It's the best of times.
Yeah.
If you're an entrepreneur right now, the world's open to you. If you're an employee, your world's dead to you.
What advice? Yeah.
An entrepreneur can create their own success.
Yeah. What advice? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
It's a job. They're a peacetime warrior. Remember, watch Patrick Bet-David.
He's great.
Leader, peacetime leader. Which one are you? No, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, that's true.
So this is the best of times for the wartime guys. Horrible time for peacetime.
Right. And for the people that are the wartime people, what is the best advice you would give them now for the next year, 2 years to capitalize on how do they make more money? How do they make their millions during this time? What would you suggest?
You can't make money now. You should hang it up. I tell all you frickin' millennials, man. You got, I don't know where it is. I got this iPhone. If you can't make money with that, hang it up. Like we used to say, hang up the jockstrap. You're not going to make the team. You can't make money with an iPhone through social media, through marketing. You have the world at your fingertips, and you can't make money. The problem is between this ear and this ear. It's not out here. It's in here. That's why you've got to choose your teachers wisely.
Yeah.
So let me just say it again. The best teachers are on YouTube. So is the best porno. Make up your mind what you want to listen to. You know what I mean? We have a choice. So I'm just being real to you.
I hear you, man.
No.
I hear you. What's the best investment people can make then to capitalize on this opportunity? Is the investment in education?
Left ear. Look, if you're poor right now, it was called look in the mirror. That's what my dad always said to me. Says, if you're looking in the mirror right now and you see a loser, that's what you are. You can't make money in this economy. You better change your thinking. Hindsight is 20/20, as they say.
Yes.
If you're looking, you don't have any money, you don't have a job, your boyfriend or girlfriend has left you, and sitting there goes, well, how did I get here? How did I get here? There was a great book called, Gulag Archipelago by Solzhenitsyn. So he gets thrown in a concentration camp or a gulag in Siberia, and he says, "How did I get here?" You know how he got there? Because he was a peacetime leader. Didn't fight back. So people are being sold the bill: go to school, get a job, pay taxes, save money, get out of debt, buy a house. The house is an asset, and invest for the long term in a well-defined portfolio of stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and ETFs. And I do none of that.
And why do you recommend the opposite?
Because I don't have to do that crap. That's Kool-Aid. Go to school. What do they teach you about money? Nothing. Get a job. You pay the highest taxes. Pay your taxes. I don't pay taxes. Get out of debt. Well, money is debt after 1971, if you know your history of money. Your house is not an asset. Your house is a liability. And why would I invest for the long term in the stock market when I can make my own assets? I don't need the stock market. I'm not saying you shouldn't. But I create my own assets. I create my own cash flow. Every day I can.
You mean through your business, through your creativity.
I'm an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Most people are employees. They're looking for jobs. I'm just looking for. So like right now.
Should entrepreneurs invest in the stock market? Do you think if you're entrepreneurial, you should invest in?
Look, find a stupid teacher who's going to tell you what to do.
I'm asking your opinion. I'm curious as a teacher.
I don't give advice. I wouldn't follow Warren Buffett either. You know why? Because he invests the money. Why would I let him invest my money? I want the fun.
So what's the investment you make the most in?
Look, please hear what I'm saying.
Yes.
I made a fortune in 2008. 2020, I'm making more money. I'm paying less taxes. It doesn't mean I don't have problems. but I'm prepared for this. My biggest problem right now is because everybody's taking a vacation, I can't get enough product. I'm selling out. My cash flow game is sold out. It's selling out constantly all over the world. All over the world, I get royalties from my book sales. My book sales are going through the roof right now. So I'm making more money.
Information, yeah.
There's two kinds of discipline. There's internal or self-discipline, and then there's external discipline. So right now, if the world's kicking your butt, that's external discipline. And if you're self-disciplined, the world's kissing your butt right now. It's up to you. So that's why I love the Marine Corps. That's why I love going to military school and not a university, because I got my ass kicked every single frickin' day. The first word I had to learn at the academy, mission. Mission is spiritual. What's your mission? And my mission has always been to serve people. Most people, all they give a fuck is making money and screwing people. That's called the Federal Reserve Bank, Wall Street, and all that. I want nothing to do with them. So I just don't play their game. But you have to get smarter not to play their game. So that's why YouTube has the best teachers. This guy, George Gammon, man, he's a great teacher. Patrick Beck-David, fantastic teacher. Cardone, fantastic teachers. So choose your teachers wisely. That's all. That's what I say, because I have to choose between my rich dad and my poor dad. My poor dad, PhD, poor, helpless, and desperate. And that's what he wanted me to do when I came back from Vietnam, was get my master's degree, get my PhD, and fly for the airlines. If I had done that, my friends who flew for United, they're broke. You know why they're broke? Because Wall Street stole their pensions. It's called an ESOP, Employee Stock Option Plan. The biggest crisis coming up right now after this pandemic is pensions are going to crash. That's right. You got it, man.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Why are they going to crash?
Because they're empty. Wall Street looted them. My God, wake up. Wake up. There's a better book than that. It's called The Creature from Jekyll Island by G. Edward Griffin. It's a big book. Get it on audiobook and listen to it. A couple of 10 minutes a night or something. The Federal Reserve has only one purpose, is to keep the rich rich. That's their only job. So every time the market crashes, as you notice, money pumps in. They pump the market. They pump the prices up. The rich exit, and the poor and middle class who listen to Dave Ramsey and Susie Orman, and their advice is good for the middle class. Don't get me wrong. They're told to invest for the long term. Okay, so what's happening to the poor and middle class with their 401k and IRA right now are set? That's like saying, okay, put the handcuffs on the Titanic. It's going down. Meanwhile, the rich have got their G5 flying in to pick them up and get off the boat. They're out.
Right.
Because the problem isn't in the stock market. The problem's in the repo market, corporate credit market, the consumer commercial paper market. They don't tell you that. They don't teach you that in school. So suddenly, voila, in September, the shadow banking, which is corporate credit, and the commercial paper and the corporate credit and commercial paper market started to go bad in September. Oh, suddenly, pandemic. Oh, that was interesting. Funny how that appeared, So I'm not saying the pandemic isn't real. I'm saying the real crisis, it's a smokescreen for the real crisis going on right now. They're stealing your wealth through your pensions, your 401k, your IRA, through Social Security, through your taxes, through Medicare. That's why we have socialism kicking in right now. We have Bernie Sanders and AOC and Elizabeth Warren, hardcore socialists. But if you can see, if you really have a financial education, we're going from capitalists, which I am, and nothing wrong with a socialist. There are some people, 20% of the people need to be given money because they're unable, whatever reason, they're not able to. So we should give some people money, but not everybody. So we're going from capitalism to Bernie Sanders socialism and Hillary and all those guys. And then we're actually going to communism. And you can see it right now because Boeing is asking for a bailout and all these guys asking for bailouts. But this time, the Fed's going to take percentage ownership.
Really?
Yes, that's communism, central control of the economy. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but it's coming. But that's what they should teach us in school. And our school teachers, most of them are socialists, and some of them are communists. They want the government to tell us what to do. They're really fascist. They're really fascist. A fascist wants to tell you what to do. So you look at this stuff, what's it called? Social distancing.
Mm-hmm.
You're taking away the First Amendment, the right to assemble. PC, political correctness, is freedom of speech. Okay? That's what's going on. And then they're printing money under all this scheme. Mm. So if you study real world PC-ness, we've lost our freedom of speech. That's what Stalin took away. And social distancing is the right to assembly, which is why there was a Revolutionary War back in 1776. The Americans had to go hide in a church because the British would kill them if they were caught on assembly. Wow. History repeats. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but most people aren't taught this.
Yeah.
That's why I love going to military school versus university.
They teach you a lot of history, probably.
We're taught military history. Mm-hmm. History is bullshit. To the victor goes history. So the person that wins the war writes history to justify their position today. Oh. It's called his story. The loser doesn't get to tell their story.
That's funny.
So anyway, that's where we're at. And
yeah,
I just leave it to your generation. You guys are in the best position ever because you're still young. You're tech savvy, and the baby boomers aren't. So they're old. A lot of them are feeble, and they're gone. We're gone. So you guys have the world ahead of you.
And use this time to be creative and take action and be bold. And I think I saw something about in 2008 to 2010, some of the greatest companies or the biggest companies of today were started then. Airbnb, Uber, all these other companies. Bitcoin.
2009.
Wow.
See, I love Bitcoin.
What's your thoughts on cryptocurrency? Why do you love Bitcoin?
Listen, Bitcoin is open source. The Fed can't touch it.
You don't like the Fed?
The creature from Jekyll Island, the Fed. The Fed is not a bank. It's a cartel owned by the richest guys on earth. Okay, you guys just wake up, So anyway, the Fed is a cartel. So when I saw Bitcoin come out, it's open source. It's people's money. Gold and silver are God's money. So my whole objective is I go through my system of business, but I'm buying gold and silver. I store it in other countries legally because you can't just move that stuff. You have to move it legally and declare it. Mm-hmm. So I move my money illegally. I want to get out of this country. So I keep my wealth outside this country, not because of my government. It's because there's so many people, you're going to see lawsuits are going to go up because people are desperate. They don't have any money. So when the economy gets bad, that's why, have you been in an accident? Have you been hurt? I'll come out and sue them for you. So if you don't have the right corporate entity like LLCs, C corporations, S corporations, offshore accounts, money's going to be stolen. It's the real game. Okay, your pensions, watch, in a few years, he did tell us our pensions are gone. You know what's going to happen? They're going to bail them out again. Because if you read this book here, The Creature, it says bailout is the name of the game. Back in the 80s, there was a guy named Neil Bush. Let's see, the Bush family. George, Silverado Savings. When Neil Bush got in trouble, George bailed him out.
Yeah.
Got the game.
You say there's two different types of pensions. What's the difference between a normal pension that someone would get and a defined benefit plan pension? And why should people be aware of these things?
Well, defined benefit is industrial age. That was my poor dad's, So what happened is I got a job with Ford Motor Company, and I got defined benefit, which meant defined benefit means you got a paycheck for life.
Mm-hmm.
So if they promise you $1,000 a month, you get that for the rest of your life guaranteed. Well, the problem was, as you know, right around in the 70s, that's when China and Japan and Japan and Germany came on. So they had to get rid of pensions because pensions are a drag on the business.
Mm.
So they came up with a thing called ERISA, which today is known as a 401k. So a 401k type is a defined contribution. So you have defined benefit, which is industrial age. Defined corporation is the 401k contribution. So defined contribution means you only get what you put in. If it's not enough there, aloha. That's not our problem today. So I meet all these millennials who go, oh, I have a 401k. And I said, do you like bending over and picking up the soap? You know what I mean? I go, they don't know the difference.
Yeah.
Because you know what a 401k means? Fees, 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 fees. Mutual funds, fees, 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 fees. Your money is stolen right out of your pension.
Mm.
Defined benefit, defined contribution. So defined contribution 401k is information age pension. It came about in 1974, just as the baby boomers were entering the workforce. So today, the average baby boomer's 401k has $65,000 in it. The guy with a defined benefit, their annual, they have something like $1 million in it.
Wow.
The trouble is they're empty.
Mm.
That's what Who Stole My Pensions about. My co-authors, and they have Ted Siddell. He was an SEC attorney, and he became a whistleblower because he saw how much Wall Street was sucking the cash.
Wow.
Pensions. So that's Who Stole My Pension. So he then he made, I think, $39 million last year blowing the whistle on all these Wall Street firms, Goldman Sachs and those guys.
What can people be doing when they have this 401k or this pension already that's going to do nothing for them? What should they be doing?
Well, what they should be doing is choosing their teachers wisely.
Yeah.
Because I can tell, I don't need money. Like, I write a book, right? And I get royalties from 50 different book companies throughout the world.
Wow.
So let's say I write a book, they pay me $10,000 for the right to publish my book. I have zero expenses, but I collect royalties for the rest of my life. I'm still collecting huge royalties off of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So I created my own assets. I don't need an ETF. Mm-hmm. I created a cash flow board game, which unfortunately sold out right now. But every time somebody buys one, I get a royalty, whether I work or not.
Yeah.
And then I borrow money, I buy real estate, and then I use the accounting laws, appreciation, depreciation, amortization, and pay no taxes. Trump doesn't pay taxes either. That's why he won't show his financials.
Wow. So you don't pay any taxes right now. Is it because of debt? Is that the main reason, or? Because
taxes are incentives. Government wants you to do certain things. For example, when I donate money to, let's say, PBS, public broadcasting, I get a tax break. I donate money to the church, I get a tax break. That's what taxes are. So they tell you, if you do this, we'll give you a tax break. So if I have 500 employees, I get a tax break. If I have real estate because I'm providing housing, I get a tax break. So I use debt to buy real estate. And the more real estate I buy, the less tax I pay.
Wow.
So that's why Dave Ramsey, his advice is good for that person. But I need debt to buy the real estate so I don't have to pay any taxes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, real estate's going down right now. But that's why I have LLCs and C corporations, because then they can't get me because I'm protected by a corporate entity. Mm-hmm. And besides, if you read this book here,
The Creature, you got to get The Creature.
They're gonna bail me out. So they already bailed me out. They just said, how many employees do we have? So we calculated it up. So they're gonna give me 8 weeks of pay to pay my employees.
Really? Wow.
Free money.
So they'll bail you out. Wow.
I love this country.
You say don't be go ahead.
But you can't do that as an employee.
Go
to school, get a job. Your mindset is different than an employee. That's Rich Dad and Poor Dad.
Yeah.
Poor Dad, employee. Rich dad, entrepreneur.
Hmm.
That was the choice I had to make.
What if someone's not, like you said, someone's not entrepreneurial minded, or they don't have those skills? Can someone become an entrepreneur, or is it something you're born with?
You shouldn't ask that, All kinds of entrepreneurs, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, of course.
There's drug dealers are entrepreneurs, hookers are entrepreneurs. There's a young girl who works in our neighborhood. She's a babysitter. She's an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody can be an entrepreneur, hopefully be a legal one.
Yeah.
The trouble is it's hard to make enough money if you're not a good entrepreneur.
Mm.
So anyway, it's just up here.
Find the teachers. Find the right teachers. You say don't be a saver, be an investor. Should people be investing even during these times if they're not comfortable doing that? Or this is the greatest time to invest is what I'm hearing you say because of the opportunity.
Why would you save?
Fear.
No, but that worked before 1971. They printed 4.5 trillion after 2008. They estimate they're going to print another 6 to 8 trillion, maybe 10 trillion.
Wow.
After 2020. At the same time, they're going to pay ZIRP, zero interest rate policy. So you're saving money while the Fed's printing money, and they're going to pay you no interest on it. Why would you save it?
Mm.
So that's all I say. And so that's why when Susie talks about saving and Dave talks about saving, I wouldn't do that. But for the average person, they should do that. So that's why choose your teachers wisely.
Right.
You just have to know money. That's all.
Yeah. And what's your prediction with real estate over the next few years? Do you think it's going to keep going down now, or do you think it's like in LA? I feel like it hasn't gone down at all. It's like the place continues to grow, but eventually it's got to, right?
I wouldn't invest in LA for one reason: taxes.
Mm-hmm.
I just wouldn't. That's your choice. People say it's a nice place to live, and it is. But I don't like paying taxes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't move there. Plus, you have what's called they try to pull it. I forget the name of it, but you can't raise the rents on people. So I don't like
rent control. Yeah.
Great place to live, great lifestyle, but we're going to have the biggest crash. We're going to a depression right now. We're going right past recession into a depression.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
You can't have every business closing. And the stock market is going up, but like I said, the real problem's in the repo, the shadow banking market. That's what they're trying to save because it's broke. They're going bankrupt in there. So the dollar is going to be strong because 80% of the debt is measured in US dollars. So everybody needs dollars to pay off their debt. Okay. But in the meantime, the guys for a week, their houses are going to come up for sale, their Lamborghini, their real estate. I wouldn't touch commercial real estate. I mean, office buildings. Office buildings, they're gone.
No one can go work anymore. The people are working from home for a while, or whatever.
They're gone. Now, I go to South Africa a lot. In South Africa, the office buildings became low-income housing.
Whoa.
That's the future. Those homeless people? Century City, here they come.
Yeah, I know. I gotta get out of here now.
I just think differently. That's all.
Yeah.
That was Steve Jobs' thing. Think different.
Yeah. I got a few final questions for you. I really appreciate you sharing and giving us this tough love, which I think a lot of people need right now.
I'm not politically correct.
It's all good. We all need different teachers, and I appreciate your perspective. This is a question I ask everyone towards the end of their conversations. I call it the 3 truths. It's a hypothetical question, but I'd like for you to imagine for a moment that many years from now, it's your last day on this earth, and you've accomplished everything. You've accomplished all the things you want in your personal life, your dreams. It's all happened. But for whatever reason, hypothetically, you got to take all of your work with you, your books, your content, your board games, all the teachings you've ever given to the world. It goes with you. And you got to leave only 3 lessons behind for the rest of us to learn from. What would you say would be your 3 lessons, or what I like to call 3 truths?
Well, I think the most important lessons, probably, I think I said this way, my rich guy said all the time. My rich dad always said, knowledge is finite. stupidity is infinite. So stay stupid.
That's a great truth.
Because that's how you get knowledge. But he used to always say that to me because my dad always hid behind his diploma, PhD. He didn't know anything. Most school teachers don't know much. You know, when people ask me about the Fed, what is the Fed? I said, have you ever watched The Wizard of Oz? And they go, yeah. Well, you know how Dorothy and the Tin Man and the Lion and the Straw Man, they went down the yellow brick road. They were hoping to find the wizard. And the wizard was going to give the lion a heart or, you know, Dorothy, whatever she wanted and all this stuff. And when they get to the wizard or the Fed, there was a midget behind of it. There was nothing behind of it. That's the Fed. That's the PhD. They're hiding behind this thing called diploma. That's obsolete. And so that's the second lesson. You know, be careful who your teachers are. Make sure your teacher actually practices what they teach. So my tax guy is Tom Wheelwright. His book is Tax-Free Wealth. You really want to stop paying taxes? Get that book. It's $20. You'll probably save a couple of $1 million over your lifetime. But if you don't change, you know, this left ear and right ear, that gap between there, you're screwed.
Yeah.
And then you have my other friend, mother advisor, Andy Tanner. He wrote the book, Stock Market Cash Flow. Instead of investing for the long term, he makes money in markets going up or down. I'd rather do that than buy, pray, and hold and listen to Susie Orman and Dave Ramsey. But it's your choice.
Yeah.
Other guys, Kenny McElroy, he writes all my real estate books. He's my real estate partner. We've made fortunes together. You know, it's just fortunes, tax-free. Why would you go to school? Just buy some books, study them, get their YouTube. You know?
Make some mistakes on your own, right?
Oh, you don't have to just get stupid. But
Yeah.
you know, blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit. Meek means egoless. I'm going to learn. So I know what goes on in the stock market. That's why I stay out of it. But if you don't know, it might be the best place for you. So if you want to stay in the stock market, that's Andy Tanner, Stock Market Cash Flow, and 401 Chaos. They tell you what's really going on because they're real. They're in the market every day. You know, Jim Rogers wrote Investment Banker and all that. He lives in Singapore. He basically says the problem with the Fed is they don't know what they're talking about. They're idiots. And we'll listen to them. They're the Wizard of Oz. Everybody thinks they know something because they got this piece of paper, like my poor dad, called a PhD. Rich Dad, Poor Dad had a financial statement. You cannot lie in your financial statement because that's fraud. PhDs, diploma. Rich people, financial statements. The other thing is this, I don't have a financial planner. I have a family office. The rich have family offices. So we have money to lend constantly. We make so much money. So there's a difference in the mindset, the intelligence, and what you learn. So I think the most important thing that you're teaching people, you know, in the School of Greatness is basically choose your teachers. What path you want to go down. You know, when your football career ended, it was the best thing that happened to you.
Yeah. Started finding mentors.
Yeah. And that's what you're doing. And so you're a great role model for your generation.
Oh, thank you.
In my generation, they're still baby boomers. What's that? Hello, boomer. What do they say? Hey, boomer. We're idiots. Jesus, they still, most boomers are still counting on Social Security and the stock market.
I hear you. I don't know if you said the third one. You said knowledge is finite, stupidity is infinite. So stay stupid, number one, which I love that because I've always felt like I'm the dumbest person in the.
Mistakes is what it means.
What's that?
Be humble and make mistakes and learn.
Yeah, exactly. Be careful who your teachers are, and the third one was
don't hide behind a diploma. You know, if somebody says to you, so can you show me your financials? So like that's the story of a family office versus everybody has a home office. That's different than a family office. So a family office is like a hedge fund. But But rich guys have their own hedge funds or their own private equity firms. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So that's where you want to get to. So when you're there, the difference is when people ask me for money, like on Shark Tank, the first thing I ask them for is not their diploma. Show me your financials.
Mm.
If they don't have financials, I won't invest with them. Because they don't know what they're talking about.
Just because you have a cool degree or fancy paper doesn't mean you can get results.
Oh, God. You see, you can lie from behind a diploma. That's what the Fed's doing. So that's all Rich Dad, Poor Dad is about. It's about financial statements. And the cash flow game is you physically, again, like I said, it's physically, there's four intelligences: mental, emotional, physical, spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
The game makes you fill out your financials on these four intelligences.
Yeah.
Because you have to move the things, you have to fill out the numbers and all this stuff. So it's max learning. Unfortunately, the game is sold out. But anyway, that's how I designed 26 years ago. I don't know how long.
Yeah. They can go order it and it'll be out hopefully in the next couple of months. They can get it on a wait list.
I don't know, everybody's on vacation.
You've impacted millions of people's lives around the world. I remember actually playing the game with my mom 22 years ago. I don't know. I was a kid, a teenager, and I remember, learning these principles. And even though I didn't fully understand it, and even though it seemed like too much for me to understand as a teenager and overwhelming, it planted a seed. And so did the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which I learned about at an early age. So I want to acknowledge you for being a teacher in a world of teachers, educate people on a specific way, not the only way, but a way that has worked for you and worked for millions of people around the world, for constantly creating value, board games, being creative with your content to educate us in this way. And I'm really just grateful that you continue to show up and serve and be yourself, because you are a unique human being. And I appreciate you, Robert, for your own style and approach.
Well, thank you. But you know why you and I are great teachers?
Why is that?
We didn't do well in school.
Yeah, because we have to be curious and learn.
Well, we just like that style of education. It worked for my poor dad. It didn't work for my rich dad.
Yeah.
And you see, that's what I mean. Choose your teachers wisely.
Yeah. And
there's millions of ways you can become rich, but you got to find your way, your teacher, your path.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you've got this book out now, Who Stole My Pension? Make sure to check this out to really educate yourself on what's happening with pensions, 401ks, and what you can do with your money moving forward. This is great. It's going to help a lot of people who are going to be trapped if they're not educated on this.
Well, the biggest reason is if you're young, is your age.
Uh-huh.
Most you guys will have your parents and siblings moving in with you.
And we'll have to pay for them. My mom is 68, 69. I'm already having to figure out, okay, how do I support her?
And if she loses her 401k IRA, you're toast.
Yeah. She's making a few thousand, I think, from her retirement and pension, or a couple different things she has from the company she worked from.
In that book is the pilots like me. My pilot friends were making 400k a year. They got nothing now.
Wow.
And then the other guy's a UPS driver, a Teamster. He was making $5,000 a month. Now I'm making $900 a month for UPS.
Yeah.
Those are major firms. So you read Who Stole My Pension, and it gives you a glimpse more into what's coming. It's the next crisis coming up. It's a baby boomer crisis. Just like the pandemic is a baby boomer crisis. They're picking on the old guys again. Anyway.
Make sure you guys get this book. Also, 25th anniversary of Rich Dad, Poor Dad coming up next year. Go get that book. If you have already read it in the past, read it again, because we constantly need to be reminded and educated. And we see things different. What's that?
Repetition is how we learn.
That's it. We constantly got to learn. Even if we've learned it in the past, you might have forgotten it. You got to relearn and reapply what you learn.
Yeah.
So get that book. We try to stock our shelves and give them away to people.
How many times I've gone through this book?
So you're saying you didn't master it after the first time?
No, I'm a slow learner.
Yeah.
And a poor reader and a poor writer. But that's why we're good teachers.
Mm-hmm. I love it. I've got one final question for you, and people can follow you online. They can get the book. We'll link everything up here. You've got some great stuff on social media, on Instagram. So I'd say go follow Robert on Instagram as well. My final question for you, Robert, is what is your definition of greatness?
Getting up every day. At my age, you got to worry about that stuff. I mean, I said my plan was to die at 72. I almost died so many times. I went down 3 times in Vietnam, and my days were numbered from the start. I've had open heart surgery. I've had cancer. I've had pneumonia. I've had malaria. And so, when everybody talks about this COVID-19, I said, been there, done that one, But each one of it inspired me to get healthier.
Mm.
And so this crisis should inspire people to get wealthier, or you can be a loser.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know where I'm going with that, but it's just everything bad is good. And everything good will be bad. Or that's what Nassim Taleb says, you're either fragile, robust, or anti-fragile. And the people following you are anti-fragile, or they wouldn't be following you.
Yeah, that's it. Robert, thank you so much for your wisdom, for sharing today. I can't wait to learn more. As one of my teachers, I want to continue to learn from you. So thanks for everything, man.
And thanks to all you guys who are following you as a teacher.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching this interview with Robert Kiyosaki. If you want to learn how to go from being broke to a millionaire in any recession, check this out right here with Dave Ramsey.
It's the greatest time and the worst time in your life. I lost everything in my 20s. I don't want to go back there. But the lessons that I learned from that pain were so thorough. Pain is a thorough teacher.